Freedom. Personal freedom is fundamental to who we are as Americans.
There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred.
That's been the work of my first term, to fight for our democracy.
This shouldn't be a red or blue issue.
To protect our rights, to make sure that everyone in this country is treated equally and that everyone is given a fair shot at making it.
President Joe Biden making it official on Wednesday with a video that confirms Washington's biggest open secret. He's running for re-election. And Biden's announcement video makes plain the message he'll be taking into next year's presidential race.
But you know, around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms. Cutting Social Security that you paid for your entire life while cutting taxes for the very wealthy. Dictating what health care decisions women can make. Banning books and telling people who they can love. All while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote.
Now that message may come as a surprise to you, because as recently as last week, strategists close to Biden were saying he planned to avoid any social issues at all, instead focusing on an economic message. That appears to have been a head fake, because Biden came out of the gate swinging on everything from abortion to the GOP's war on woke. And as Biden ally and South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn makes clear, Biden's message won't just focus on bashing the MAGA base, because Biden is hoping to make his campaign about something more fundamental and hopefully more engaging to voters.
I think that we have a tremendous opportunity now to continue what I call a course correction. I do believe that Joe Biden feels very strongly that our country got off track in our pursuit of a more perfect union, and that he is dedicated to the proposition that we are back on track and we should continue moving forward. And so I don't believe this is about stopping Trump. This is about continuing our pursuit of a more perfect union, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Compare that message to this.
What's happening now is beyond belief. They're coming in from mental institutions and prisons. They're all being emptied. They're being dumped into the United States of America. Many of these people are very dangerous. They're being dumped. We're like a dumping ground. Our cities have been overrun with homelessness, drug addicts, and violent criminals who are being released from jail en masse with no retribution whatsoever, while law enforcement is weaponized against law-abiding conservatives or Republicans or people they just don't like.
But not everyone was jazzed to hear Biden's big announcement. Down in Florida, former president and currently criminally indicted retiree Donald Trump had Barron set up the tripod for yet another rambling video rant.
You could take the 5 worst presidents in American history and put them together, and they would not have done the damage Joe Biden has done to our nation in just a few short years, not even close. Thanks to Joe Biden's socialist spending calamity, American families are being decimated by the worst inflation in half a century. Banks are failing, our currency is crashing, and the dollar will soon no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat in over 200 years.
Now, since Trump brought it up, it's only fair that we take a second and go through Biden's actual record. Because not only has Biden kept busy, his first term has been among the most legislatively successful of any first-term president since Franklin Roosevelt in 1932. That's a huge deal. Let's start with a few things Donald Trump failed to do. Unlike Trump, Biden passed the CHIPS Act, which is already building a U.S. semiconductor industry that insulates businesses from potential supply shocks. Trump tried to do something similar, but instead it turned into a costly trade war with China before he eventually abandoned the idea entirely. Or take Biden's historic investments in infrastructure, climate change, and renewable energy, better known as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill and the Inflation Reduction Act. Those are 2 of the largest hard infrastructure bills in the last 75 years, and Biden passed them with a bare majority of votes in the Senate. One of the reasons Republicans are so nervous is that $1.2 trillion in federal spending is already working. It's expanding the port in Tampa Bay, building bridges in Phoenix, Arizona, and renovating airports like Boston's Logan International. It's also creating tens of thousands of jobs in red states. If you want to know why unemployment in America is at near record lows, that's why. But why stop there? Biden also signed the first bipartisan gun reform in a generation, and he brought Republicans across the aisle to write marriage equality into law. That's right, he got Republican votes on gay marriage. Imagine that. Republicans spent much of the summer writing up an election strategy that depended on Joe Biden staying far away from social issues. Instead, Biden is preparing to put freedom on the ballot in all its forms, from reproductive and transgender rights to the freedom to be safe from gun violence in our schools, churches, and basically everywhere. Well, folks, America's senior citizen Super Bowl is underway, and if Joe Biden's announcement is any indication, Democrats will be leaning in on some of the biggest cultural issues in our nation. For the first time in years, the Democratic Party's presidential campaign may actually look something like its activist base. Well, that was a journey, and if you want even more, check out this video, and remember to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below, so you can let me know what I should cover next.